streets are talking. You are now listening to The Box Out, Tri-State area basketball talk at its best. And now your hosts, Kahlil Thomas and Jason Cordner. Let's get it.
From NJ to BK and the world, this is The Box Out here on the One Podcast Network YouTube channel. My name is Kahlil Thomas. Join me in just a few minutes with Jason Cordner from Brooklyn, New York. And our opening tip tonight is going to be something a little different. I'm going to start with one word. That word is survival. Miami Heat almost blew, for the first time in NBA history, a 3-0 series lead. They were up 3-0. Boston decided, you know what, we're going to start playing now and actually stop BSing. And they tied the series up at 3-3. Game 7 last night, Miami able to pull it out with a, you can say a blowout win. It was a blowout win. Let's just kind of put it what it is. It was a blowout win. However, and I've gotten some pushback about this point, and I'm going to make it again. And again, and again, and again, and again. First 25, 30 seconds of first quarter of play, Jason Tatum hurts his ankle, and that took Boston out of the game completely. Boston was a non-factor the entire game because he was not, that ankle bothered him and hampered him. You could tell he wasn't playing at 100%. And I said this in our last show last week. Losing one game is one thing for Miami. They lost game 4, which obviously would happen. No team wants to get swept, and that's kind of what it turned into. No team wants to get swept. Boston wins game 4. My words were, if this goes past game 5, if Boston somehow won game 5, Miami is in trouble because you're up 3-0. Series is now 3-2. 3-1 is whatever. You up 3-1. Okay, let's finish these guys off, get it over it, and get ready for the NBA Finals. You lose game 5. I think doubt starts to come in, and doubt starts to kind of linger and starts to kind of be prevalent in the mindset of the players. They lost game 6 to tie the series at 3. Now, I was in the choke bandwagon. I thought they were going to just completely choke and crap the bed. If Jason Tatum was healthy, I would have loved to see that game last night. I don't think it would have been this big blowout. And obviously, Boston cut it to single digits in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter. Miami ended up pulling away, but Miami was up by about 19, 20 points at various points of that game. So if you had a healthy Jason Tatum, I think the game becomes a different game. Tatum being kind of limping around on that ankle, the game was different, extremely different. So I think that was the X factor of that game. Once Jason Tatum hurt that ankle 30 seconds into the game, you automatically knew something's going to happen. This was not going to be the game that you would expect the game to be. So Miami wins, they advance. They face the Denver Nuggets, who've been home chilling for the last, seems like, 8 months. They're chilling. Mike Malone's saying he's trying to keep the team fresh, limber. I mean, obviously, there's no substitute for game action, but put them guys in, in some practices, some scrimmages, something. Yes. Sunday, I will say this: it was Memorial Day weekend. I did not take that into account when I said Sunday. So that was my bad. Bruce also says Tatum injury is an excuse. Yes and no. I mean, it's an excuse. Yeah, I will totally put that out there. I do think, as much as Eric Spoelstra had that confidence after game 6, Miami was shook. And I feel like going into game 7, you think Miami in the back of their heads, like, we could blow this and be the first team in NBA history to blow a 3-0 lead. So I do think deep down, yeah, the Tatum injury, was that the end all be all of the series? No, but did it play a role? Yes. You can't tell me if Tatum was 100% that the outcome of the game could have been different, or Boston might have played differently. Because I feel like they compensated for the fact that he was limping around. Not to mention, and I think Inside the NBA made a good point after the game last night. Mazzulla, the coach of Boston, made no adjustments whatsoever to help this team out. You go 0 of 10, and as a Knicks fan, I know of bad shooting nights. John Starks 2 of 17, 1994 final against Houston game. So I'm just saying. At some point, you tell your team, hey, we're not doing this no more. We're not going to shoot anymore. Not make a three. So figure out, penetrate, get to the lane, draw a foul, find an easy basket, go do something besides shoot a three. And Bruce said it right now in the comment section. It was a shooting contest that they lost miserably because they shot like shit from 3-point land. At some point, 9 of 42 from 3-point land. I'm sorry, when you go, we're at 0 of 10, I'm like, stop. Cut it out. I wish Pat Riley would have told John Starks to cut it out in 1994. It doesn't happen, obviously. There was no adjustments. And I think this might actually be, as Mazzulla's first year as a head coach. This is the youth of a young coach. Not making adjustments, going with what works, going with what brought you to the dance. Their 3-point shooting, not great. They're not like Golden State Warriors, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, but they have shooting nights. And Mazzulla's assumed they can shoot out of it. If they're shooting badly, they can shoot out of it. And that just never happened. After the game last night, he said, was the lack of a 3-point shot going in a major factor, and were there any plans to change your strategy? He flat out said no. So he had no qualms about going, yeah, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. Even though you're missing shots, you're missing every single three you put up. No one tried to get inside. No one tried to penetrate. Even if you penetrate and kick it out, take the open three. A lot of threes last night that they shot were contested. There are not a lot of open threes, and that's the problem. You try to find the best shot possible. At some point, the three wasn't the best shot to take. It is what it is. So you make adjustments. Then they make the adjustments. Miami, they win the game. And I will say this, and as someone who doubted Eric Spoelstra years and years ago, and I feel like I was always kind of underestimating Eric Spoelstra. He's a Pat Riley puppet. He's Pat Riley's boy. Blah, 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 blah. Duke to coach. Because the team he has right now, with Tyler Hero being out, you have Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero. That's it. But let's be honest. Gabe Vincent's playing well. Duncan Robinson plays well. Bam Adebayo is struggling offensively, but you're not expecting 35 and 20 from Bam Adebayo, is what it is. But considering the team he has, and I feel like he's always had this really kind of ragtag type of team year after year. He coaches them. Once again, it was a good point last night made how, head coaches aren't for the superstars. Head coaches are for the guys that not superstars. Guys who need to be coached up. You kind of see a coach's worth with the guys not named Steph, Clay, Giannis, Jokic. Spoelstra obviously coaches up those guys that are not big names. So if your name is not Jimmy Butler, if your name is not Bam Adebayo, I would say Tyler Hero to a point. Spoelstra's like, I'm going to work with you. I'm going to make sure I'm going to get your role set where we know what you can do, figure out what you do well, capitalize on that, and have your role help the team in your own way. One, everybody buys into that. It's really rare, a lot of times, to get a team of guys to say, this is my role. I'm going to stay in my lane. This is what I'm good at. Spoelstra does such a good job of kind of putting that all together and going, this is what you're good at. This is how you're going to help. And get put. We're not going to deviate from your role. This is what you do. And this is where they are now, NBA Finals again. Now, previewing the finals. Miami's had a good run. Let's just out there. Miami had a good run. If you look at Miami and Denver side by side, you're looking at two different teams. I'm not going to say Denver's a better team because obviously Miami does things better than Denver, just like Denver does things better than Miami. What I will say is this. If you look at the rosters, position, player for player, I think, here comes Bruce. Bruce already dropping the Heat. Heat winning the finals. Not fast, my friend. Not so fast. Obviously, Jokic is going to get his. Jokic is going to get his triple-double no matter what. Now, you can play the Nuggets like you would play the Bulls in the 90s. Let Jordan get his and hope that no one else does what they have to do, and then you win the game. I think you have Jokic, you got Jamal Murray, Porter can hit some shots, Aaron Gordon can hit some shots, and then you look at Bruce Brown, who can play defense on anybody. Bruce Brown 6'4", he could muscle up 6'10" guys. I could see Bruce Brown guarding Bam Adebayo and actually giving Bam Adebayo some trouble down low. I think Denver's team matches up way better with Miami because I think Miami, while they're good, they're tough, they're hard-nosed. It reminds me of the Heat back when the Heat and the Knicks had that rivalry, and those games were like 78, 72. You know, it never hit over 80. I think scoring, to me, if you need a basket, Denver get the basket easier than Miami can get a basket. And not just with Jokic, but with Murray. Aaron Gordon is capable of hitting shots, especially threes. Aaron Gordon's three-point shooting has gotten a lot better. Michael Porter can drop 25, 30 when you least expect it. I just think Denver has the better team. I think Denver being well-rested, which most times I would say is a problem, is not a problem. I think it might be actually a good thing. I feel like them sitting there and just waiting and probably rooting for the Heat. I feel like they knew the Heat might be a better matchup for them than Boston. I think this series, and game one's going to be interesting on Thursday because you kind of want to see how Denver comes out because they've been out for so long. They've been down for so long. They've been resting for so long. First 5-6 minutes is going to be interesting to see how Denver comes out. I think Denver's going to come out rusty and cold. After those first 5-6 minutes, does it get better for them? I think it does. My prediction, I know Bruce has got the Heat winning it. If you got predictions, put them in the comment section. I got the Nuggets in 5. Nuggets in 5 for the series. Not saying the games won't be close. I'm not going to say the Nuggets are going to just beat the brakes off the Miami Heat. That's not what I'm saying. I will not say that. That's not the point I'm making. I think the games will be close. I think the games will. I look at the Lakers series as kind of a comparison to what the series could look like for Denver, Miami. Denver didn't really blow out the Lakers. I feel like every game was really close. Every game was competitive. But when he came down to it, this is what you got. I'm glad to see someone else. Sam's got the Nuggets in 6. Okay, so we got Bruce with the Heat. Bruce put down how many games you got the Heat in. So I got Nuggets in 5. Sam's got Nuggets in 6. Bruce has the Heat winning finals. Waiting for him to give us the game. Listen, I just think the Nuggets are just a better team. I also feel like, and I said this last week, I feel like they're playing for Jokic because I feel like they realize that you have a generational talent on your roster right now. Heat in 6. Okay, so Bruce has got Heat in 6. Those guys on that team knows they're playing with a generational talent in Jokic, who, while everybody loves him, Jokic is one of the best players in the NBA. Jokic is great. I don't think he still gets the full respect that he should get. I feel like something's lacking. I feel like everyone knows how good he is, but I feel like he's still not getting the respect he should get. And I feel like his teammates know that. And his teammates know we have to win this ring for him because he's our guy. And the only way in any sport, basketball, hockey, baseball, the only way you get that undying respect a title. Now I know obviously, as a Knicks fan, Patrick Ewing doesn't have a title, Charles Barkley doesn't have a title, Clyde Drexler doesn't have a title. There's a lot of guys. Don Mattingly, if you go baseball and locally, doesn't have a championship. Titles mean something. Dan Marino doesn't have a title. Titles mean something. So as great as Peyton Manning was, if he didn't win those rings, he still has records. He still was a great passer, but it will suck without a ring. The ultimate sign of you getting that undying, everlasting respect is to win a championship. And I think his teammates want him to get a championship completely. Butler's ready to beat Jokic up. It did happen last year. Listen, Butler could try, but I think Denver's got some goons. I think they probably got goons on purpose this year, just in case. Sam says Denver better scoring team, has guys that beat one. That's very true. There's only so many games that the mini CBA team that Miami fields can win, right? Jimmy Butler's going to be Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's going to score and play hard and play intense. Bam Adebayo's going to be up and down. Tyler Hero, they said, could be back for game 3 of the finals, so he's going to miss at least the first 2 games, so that's going to be a problem for him. Miami's roster is not great. I'm sorry. Spoel's a great coach, like I said before, and he's done a good job of getting these guys in positions to succeed. But Miami's not great. I'm sorry. They're not a great team. So you put Miami, who's a good team, that got to the Eastern Conference Finals, not the NBA Finals, against Denver, who beat breaks of guys. You got to go with Denver. So I'm going to go with that. You can see it. Thursday night starts the NBA Finals. That's going to be on ABC, 8:30 start. So if you plan on getting sleep during the NBA Finals, that ain't happening because every NBA Finals start late. I talked about Boston now, and what's next for Boston, because obviously Tatum's your guy. Tatum is your 1. Jaylen Brown is your 2, 1B, I guess, whatever. But then what else do you have after that? Right? You got Marcus Smart, Al Horford, who could occasionally hit a 3, but that's about it. Robert Williams is always out. You don't have a lot of depth on Boston at all, right? The depth is not there. I think Gallinari getting hurt them, because I think they were really depending on Danilo Gallinari to be the outside shooter, take some pressure off. Gallinari also did great trade. Going back to the Knicks, that was Gallinari's thing. He can stop, pop, he can hit a 3, he can drive inside, whatever. They didn't have that this year because he got hurt. It's going to be interesting to me to see what they do with Jaylen Brown. He's signed through the end of next season. Do you trade Jaylen Brown? And the question is not just do you trade him, what do you get for Jaylen Brown? Because what's really there? Like what offer? And if you're a GM and you had Jaylen Brown in your back pocket and you're like, you know what, I'm going to dangle him out there and see what the teams are offering. What legitimate deal would you get? What legitimate deal would you take to get Jaylen Brown off your roster? Because remember, Jaylen Brown is an all-star. Jaylen Brown averages 20-plus points a game. If Jason Tatum wasn't on the Celtics and it was just Jaylen Brown's team, I think Jaylen Brown would be where Jason Tatum is. Jason Tatum's a step above what Jaylen Brown is, obviously, and he's the leader of the team. But if you try to trade Jaylen Brown, what would be the great package to get him? Sam believes that Dame for Brown and picks. The only issue I have with that is Dame is so you're giving up a young player for an older player, and then you're giving up picks on top of that. So you kind of mortgaging out your future for an older player who only has maybe, and I love Dame. If the Knicks can get Dame, I would love to get Dame Lillard. 3 good years left? Dame's not playing until he's 40. So he has maybe 3 good years left before he becomes Derrick Rose on the Knicks. Bruce chimes in. Celtics are like KD and Russ. Time for a split. It's over. Yeah, or the alternative, see if you can run it back one more time. You'll have Gallinari back next year. You got to move off of Al Horford. Williams is not dependable at all. He never really plays. You almost have to figure out. You almost have to figure out if this is even still possible. All right, you get to the NBA Finals. You were looking good against Golden State, and I think Golden State's experience got to Boston. Yeah, Tatum choked last year. Now I'll put it out there. Jason Tatum Golden State Warriors NBA Finals, but experience I think overcame Boston because they weren't used to that spotlight. They weren't used to NBA Finals. I think that was the big key here. If you put some more good pieces around Brown and Tatum and Marcus Smart, obviously, because Marcus Smart signed long term as well. What could you do? Right? First of all, is Marcus Smart a starting point guard? No. Simple point blank period. He's a point defense. Marcus Smart should be starting. I'm sorry. And I stand by that point. I've been saying that point for years. Marcus Smart is not a starting point guard in the NBA. Marcus Smart can get 30 minutes off the bench. And those crunch time minute you need, but he should not be starting with the Boston Celtics. You need a point guard. I think Malcolm Brogdon was that guy. I think Malcolm Brogdon showed his worth this year. So that was a good trade. That was a good pickup for them. So I think Brogdon at the point, you got Brown, you got Tatum. You got to figure out power forward situation in the center. They really haven't had a center. Al Horford, love him to death. He has that Sam Perkins 3-point shot, just the flattest 3-point shot. I don't know how much longer is on his contract. They got to kind of look at that. Hold on. Wait. Gallinari Horford. That's like Bill Russell and Havlicek playing there. Done. Listen. Gallinari does. If you're expecting Gallinari to play 38 minutes a game, that's not happening. Gallinari can give you 20 good minutes, hit some shots, and sit down. Horford's done. I think Al Horford is shot. I think he's done. There's not a lot left in that tank. I think you gotta let it go. If I was Brad Stevens, president of the Boston Celtics, I would, and people will disagree, I want it back one more year and see what happens that one more year and see if it can get done. Brown's expiring next year. So if you're middle of the season and it's not working out for you, you can trade him, move him. He's expiring anyway. A team that's in the playoff run, a team that's going to make a run to the championship next year, would make that trade. If you go, okay, yeah, that's the way I want it to go. He's expired contract. He's Jaylen Brown. Talk to him about resigning. Don't talk to us. Move off of him next year. If you get to February and you're like, this ain't working, make that move. There's nothing wrong with making the move at all. Just make the move. So, all right, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to take a quick break, 30-second break, come right back, talk WNBA. We got Stewie going to settle. Las Vegas Aces looking like the best team in WNBA history. So 30 seconds, we're right back. You're looking at the box out. Watching the box out. Get that out. And we're back here on the Box Out on the One Podcast Network. Kahlil Time is here with me. Jason Court, I think, is having technical difficulties, so he may not be on the show. So you get ranting and raving like a madman in my basement. That's what we do, folks. That's what we do. Switch to WNBA. We got, listen, I'll put it out there now. And Bruce is going to jump on me because Bruce sends me those slick DMs on Twitter talking that trash with Liberty. Las Vegas Aces 4-0 to start the season. Point differential is something that is out of a video game. Point blank period. I think that the Aces are on point to probably be the best team in WNBA history. Now, I say that knowing full well that you have the Houston Comets of the first 4 to 5 years of the WNBA when you had Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, Tina Thompson. It's close, and I know Bruce is already Bruce is on it. Bruce is like, Comets better, Minnesota Lynx are better. I think that was like the mid like the tens to tens, that era. It just seems like, and once they lost Liz Cambage, I'm like, that's going to be a big drop, because you had Cambage, you had Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum wasn't Kelsey Plum yet. Kelsey Plum just came in from Washington, University of Washington, and wasn't who she was now. The addition of Candace Parker, that's a little more experience you get in there, right? So you get an all-star player towards the tail end of her career. I'm going to point that out. Candace Parker is not, she's not a fifth-year player. She's at the end. She went to where she can get another title. She knew her time in Chicago. She brought Chicago to one title. She knew, I want another title. I'm going to Vegas because they have the best shot. They're playing really well. And what's happening is they're kind of blowing teams away. They're making teams look bad. And defensively, you can see the Becky Hammon influence, because Becky Hammon came from that against Antonio where they played tough defense. The defense is really, 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 really good. Plum, yes, I agree. Plum is garbage on defense. She's the only liability on that whole team defensively. The rest of the team, top to bottom defensively, are good. Plum, yes, I can see that. Plum has a Steph Curry feel on defense. Plum is offense. Even going back to when she was in the University of Washington, she's offense. Defensively, she doesn't. I don't think she puts her whole effort on the defensive end. But for what I've seen from Aces so far, I think you can make a case. No, I don't. Bruce now with the better bench. I don't think so. Plus, listen, how deep does the Aces really have to go to really go for a title? Like, you don't need, the Aces don't need to go 9, 10 deep. They go 8 and be done. You go 8 deep with the Aces, you're straight. So if you need spare parts, right? All you need on the Las Vegas Aces are spare parts for that team. You don't need a crazy good bench. You need guys to come in there and say, hey, we need you to play 10 minutes. You're going to play 8. You might have to play 12 or 13 because Candace needs a breather, but don't worry about it. Just, if you get the ball, pass it to Kelsey, pass it to Asia, pass it to, whoever you need to pass it to. I don't think for them the bench is the issue. I don't think they really need a bench. Me personally, I think the Liberty is the big problem with their bench, because the Liberty, they've been going so deep on the bench trying to figure out this rotation. I think their bench gets weaker because Benai Jelani is your only real good bench player. So bench-wise, the Liberty's going 9, 10 deep. They don't have 9, 10 bodies to really throw out there. They got 4. They got Stewie, they got Anescu, Vandersloot, who we talked about, streaky shooter, and John Quill Jones, and then Benai Jelani off the bench. And that's really it. And then everyone else is interchangeable, but they really didn't put a lot of time into the bench the Liberty did. Well, Vegas is like, we don't need a bench. We're good. We're straight with the bench. We're whatever. We'll figure that out as we go. And if you got to add some bodies, we'll add some bodies later on. I think that's the big thing. They're like, we don't need a bench. Forget the bench. Screw that. Forget it. Speaking of the Liberty, they play Seattle tomorrow. Actually, tonight. Sorry, tonight. And it's Breanna Stewart's return to Seattle after leaving Seattle. We talked about Seattle last week. Seattle is going to suck this year. Seattle is rebuilding. Drew Lloyd is their only all-star, and that's it. Sue Bird retired. Stewart left via free agency. She went to Liberty. Liberty will blow them out. I think the big story is going to be Seattle. Obviously, ESPN made a big deal. How's the crowd going to react to Breanna Stewart? Are they going to boo? Or are they good? Let's no first take bullshit on this podcast. No, they're going to cheer her. Seattle fans are nice. They appreciate their players when they leave. So the narrative of how will the fans treat Breanna Stewart is bullshit. So that ain't happening. Is what it is. Will they hate her during the game? Because me and Bruce agree on this one. Easy win, blowout. Liberty's going to win by 20. But she's not going to get booed. There's not going to be fans throwing batteries at her. They're going to be very appreciative. She had good years there. Her, Sue Bird, they get it. They know. They're good sports fans. So the ESPN narrative that's bullshit. Uh, got the standings. Mystics 2-2. Everyone else below 500. The Sparks, the Fever, the Dream. Fever, congratulations to Fever, breaking a 20-game losing streak. Congrats, Indiana, finally getting on the board. Phoenix 1-2, and then the winless teams, Seattle, who played at Liberty tonight, 0-2, and the Minnesota Lynx 0-4. I do agree with Bruce on this point, however. Liberty could beat the Aces, but I don't trust Jonquel Jones. She disappears a lot. That is true. I think, Breanna Stewart will get her points. Sabrina Ionescu will get her shots, get her points. Jonquel Jones is the key here, right? I think the one thing they gotten better with from that game in Washington and those last 2 games they've played so far has been the spacing. I think Jonquel Jones needs a lot of space down low. All right. I feel like, Ionescu likes to penetrate a lot. Breanna Stewart, she kind of moves around the court a lot. She moves a lot, but she can also post up down low too. Van Su penetrates a lot. Benai Laney is a post player who can hit threes. The way Jones gets her shots, she needs space. She can't be in this crowded paint with no place to work. She has to have the space to work. Vandersloot's Vandersloot. You're going to get what you can at this point in the year. She's going to go, 9 of 50 from the field, give you, 20, 21 points. Next game, she'll go 3 for 13. So you kind of take what you get from Courtney Vandersloot her career, and you guys. So that's the NBA. It's going to be interesting to see how the Liberty they face the Storm tonight, and they have the Sky this weekend and on Sunday at Brooklyn. To see how they face the Sky. The Sky not rebuilding, not as great as they were 2 years ago, but I think that should be a good game as well. I want to talk about the Sixers head coach for a second as well. Nick Nurse, hired by the Philadelphia 76ers. Knew he was going to get a job. He was going to get a job. Nick Nurse is too good of a coach to sit at home and win. The Sixers, I was a little surprised. I'm curious to see how it's going to work defensively because Nick Nurse, Toronto was a really good offensive team with or without Kawhi Leonard. They were a good offensive team. It's going to be interesting to see how Embiid adjusts to him. James Harden, if he resigns, how he adjusts. Tyrese Maxey, his development. So I think Maxey will start. And here we go. I gotta get this up. Fired a doc for a nurse. There we go. I like that. Yeah, and listen, Sam just asked the question. Am I surprised he picked the Sixers over the Suns? A little bit. I think the Suns are a lot closer. I think the Suns has constructed work a lot better with Nurse's system. I'm curious. They don't have the press conference yet. I'm curious to hear his rationale behind. Great opportunity. I know Daryl. Blah 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 blah. I'm curious because the Sixers right now I'm looking currently. Harden is not part of the equation right now because Harden is not. So Harden is not part of the game right now. Embiid, Maxey, Tobias Harris. Those are your big three right now. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton. That's your 4 in Phoenix. If you're a free agent coach, who would you go? Would you go with Philly, where you're going to get Embiid playing his ass off every single night? If you bring Harden back, Harden kind of playing his ass off every single night, possibly, maybe. As Harris kind of going down a little bit. Maxey, you give Maxey the ball, give him some burn. Maxey can be an all-star next year, guaranteed. Or do you go to Phoenix where you got Booker, you got Durant? Chris Paul is not Chris Paul of old. I think we kind of clarify that. Chris Paul is just Chris Paul. I really hope he doesn't go to the Rockets, Sam. The strip clubs will love it if he goes back to Houston. The strip clubs will love James Harden if he went back home, because the strip clubs are getting a lot of business with James Harden in town. So, I don't know. It is still shocking that he chose the Sixers over the Suns. I'm curious to see his rationale about it and the why of it all. In other coaching news, Milwaukee Bucks hired Adrian Griffin as their head coach. That job I wanted Kenny Atkinson to get. Kenny Atkinson, former Brooklyn coach who was pushed out by Kyrie Irving. Maybe Kevin Durant, but I'm going to blame Kyrie in this one. And listen, they were down to three guys. The three guys interviewed with ownership, the GM, and Giannis. Giannis was part of the conversation, which is a good sign. Like, if Giannis is like, I want this guy, that's a good endorsement. Adrian Griffin, this is his first NBA head coaching job, so it'll be interesting to see how he handles Giannis and how he handles that team. It's a veteran team. And I say veteran, I mean old. So do they need a lot of coaching? Probably not. Do you need a tactician? Yes. You need someone who's going to be like, hey, this is what we're going to do here, right? You don't need a coach. You don't need someone coaching guys up. I think Atkinson is the guy that's going to coach him up, and I think maybe that is a turnoff. That's why Kyrie didn't want Kenny Atkinson in Brooklyn. Kenny Atkinson will coach guys up. Kenny Atkinson makes you run. Kenny Atkinson makes you run plays over and over again in practice if it's not done correctly. I think with Giannis and Middleton, you don't know what Brook Lopez's future is, and Drew Holiday and those guys, they don't really need to be coached up. They just need someone to say, okay, call timeout and draw up a play. Okay, go get it done. Go. So it's going to be interesting. We talked about retreads. Griffin is retreads. Be it this leader, completely understandable. So that is a possibility as well. So it's going to be interesting to see those two teams. See, they need better shooting guys who can create their own shot, their own shot, whatever. A guy like Brogdon. Yeah, they don't have that. They have Giannis just bullying to the lane. That's really it. Middleton doesn't drive to the basket very much. Brook Lopez, from the time he was in New Jersey Net, down low, he is strictly a three-point shooter now. Brook Lopez is no longer inside. He's a three-point shooter. You don't have a guard. And Drew Holiday could create his own shot, but it's not consistent. Drew Holiday's not trying to drive in a lane, draw some fouls, and just get knocked down. That's not Drew Holiday's game. I don't think it's ever really been his game in hindsight. So, Sam, you're right. They need a guy who can create their own shots after the back, kick out, because you got other three-point shooters. So you got to drive, kick out, give it to the guys who can knock down those threes, and hopefully make them. First-round championship for the Sixers, I agree with that. I think the Sixers got a lot of work to do. I don't think re-signing James Harden is the answer either. I'm going to put that out there. James Harden's not that guy. Let him go back to Houston. Let him go where he's go. And just kind of see what happens. That's my thoughts. So, we're going to leave it there. 40-minute show because I'm all by myself. No Jay here. So, we're going to Bruce Lopez had to go outside. Giannis had the space to run. Now, you have Giannis. You kind of got to move out the way and just not get knocked down and bullied by your own teammates. So that's also a good point too. So, but you saw Lopez game changing in New Jersey, in Brooklyn, New Jersey / Brooklyn. I think after the second year, he started getting further and further and further out. He became a 3-point center. That's what he became when he got to Brooklyn. When he first got drafted by New Jersey, he was he's a post guy. He was a post center. I think he adjusted to the rest of the league, which is a good thing because centers, look at a guy like DeAndre Ayton. He's struggling right now because his game doesn't work in the current NBA system right now. So he's struggling. Brook Lopez adjusted to the changing game. Now, did he adjust to the better? That's hard to be seen because I'm sorry, you're 7 feet tall. You should be down low sometimes, not just standing at the top of the key waiting for a kick out from Giannis, who's underneath the basket, throwing it all the way back to you at the 3-point line. So I don't know. These two hires will be interesting. I'm curious to see both these teams now, especially Sixers, because they got a lot of stuff they got to take care of. So that's gonna be all for me tonight. You guys get a shortened show a little bit. The rest of my voice, my Bruce is gonna clown me. Bruce is gonna clown me. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna give a day. I'm not gonna give a day because I give a day every week, and we always miss that day. So we will be back in a couple days. What days? Surprise. Surprise. So we'll be back this week. We'll keep you posted on Twitter. My Twitter's at Kahlil and Thomas. Jason's at Busy J. Hit us up. Check us out there. We're gonna be tweeting a lot during the NBA Finals. Up in a lot of Bruce, every other day, every 4 days. That's where we're at. We're like a starting pitcher in baseball. We go every 5 days. That's what we're gonna do from now on. We're gonna get the arms rested, throw a bullpen on Saturday, and get ready for the show on Monday or something like that. So for Jason, who'll be back next show, I'm Kahlil. Thanks so much for watching. We will see you here at Cast Network YouTube channel. Peace.